Welcome to Financial Focus, brought to you by GulfCoast Financial Services founder and CEO, John Kuykendall. John and his team of financial, legal, and tax professionals have been providing North Florida savers and investors sound, comprehensive financial guidance for over 30 years, helping you to achieve important life and planning goals. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and tune in for more Financial Focus by visiting GulfCoastFinancial.net.
And welcome into the program. This is Financial Focus, brought to you by the best of the best in financial services, as named by the readers of the Lake City Reporter, 8 years and running straight, as well as serving 31 years, serving North Central Florida savers and investors, those savers and investors looking to be proactive in achieving your goals, ladies and gentlemen. You've got that resource there at Gulf Coast Financial Services, and founder and CEO John Kuykendall here with us, providing guidance and information as always. And today, John, going to be talking about the difference between luck versus planning, and kind of apropos for the St. Patrick's Day holiday, a lot of luck discussions being talked about. But my general thought on it is, if it wasn't for bad luck, John, I'd really have no luck at all. It feels like it sometimes. So I sure don't want to leave my retirement up to chance of just luck of roll of the dice.
Well, you know, the people that always think their retirement's going to be funded by that lottery ticket, they're few and far between.
Well, you know, there's lots of stories of lottery winners actually ending up in worse financial situations than they started out in.
Well, that's true. I mean, there's case after case of where people have won the lottery, one person won the big home out in Colorado on the lake with a big guest house, and actually ended up in foreclosure at the end after they refinanced it and couldn't make the payments on it. So, I mean, there's a lot of times those people go wrong, a lot of bad stories. But, you know, we can't leave it up to luck. We've got to have a plan. And I think that, you know, as Louis Pasteur said, fortune favors the prepared. And so if we're prepared, we're going to be more able to fund retirement. And I tell you, Peter, going forward, our retirement's going to get more and more complicated, more and more difficult. And, you know, if you're saving and you have a good, decent income, you've got a pension, there's going to come a point in time when the government's going to be taking away some of the benefits from you. I really believe this, because I really believe that Social Security and the other things, Medicare, are going to be more and more hinged on income. The more income you make, the less you get. And so if we're not prepared to take those hiccups as we go through our retirement, we're not going to have the kind of retirement that we thought we were going to have.
And yet, John, the way that the majority of Americans are planning for retirement, the way the retirement system is sort of set up, it really is kind of a matter of luck. There are financial projections that are based on assumptions and speculation for what the rate of return is going to be in the market, and all kinds of variables that we sort of just assume are going to be one way. And if they turn out another, we could be in a quite different situation. So it's almost like the Dirty Harry question about luck. You've got to ask yourself one question: do you feel lucky? That's, again, it's not the way that I want to prepare for my own retirement. And there are habits and routines, I think, right? If we want to live a long, healthy life, if we want to be in shape, then we eat right and we have good habits and routines, and we exercise and we work out, and then we reach 80 or 85 years of age and we are healthy, and we say, wow, I've really been lucky. And we'd be right, but we also did the work along the way to help improve our chances of that happening, right?
That's right. I mean, you know, we have to be prepared. We have to take a step at a time. You know, one of the things that I think I really like the income planning so much is it's so simple. I mean, we take how much you're going to need in retirement, where we're going to get the funding, and then we look at how we're going to make up that source of income so that you have the same income every month coming in. And it's a lot different than asset planning, where we're sitting there moving assets around and we're using assumptions that we don't know. I mean, who would have thought that we would have had the inflation rates that we're using right now? I mean, how many times have you seen projections where the inflation rate was 1.5% or 2%? And look at where we are today. Mm-hmm. We're triple, quadruple that number. And so, it makes a big difference how we plan. Income planning, I think, is one of the best things that we've ever come up with. And it's very simple and easy to use and easy for anyone to have. But we have to be prepared. We can't say that, that I'm going to die tomorrow, so I need to eat, drink, and be merry tonight. We have to, we've got to eat the right food. We got to do the things in moderation, exercise, all the things that they say we have to do to live the life. And then we have to make sure that we've got the money set aside in our retirement to pay the taxes, handle inflation, and to be able to pay our bills and live.
Well, I appreciate you getting right to the point and the heart of the matter, because when you presented this as the show topic, which I did relate with the St. Patrick's Day weekend, very, very nicely done. But my question that came to mind is, okay, John, well, then how do we remove that element of luck and put more certainty in place? And you're saying it really is with that income planning process. So how does that work to address some of just the luck of timing into good markets? Because they tell us we can't time the market, and yet we try to time our retirement when the markets are good.
Well, we have that sequence of return, which says that if I pull money out in a down market, then my money's not going to last as long. And we've proven this story that if I'm taking money out in good markets and then I have dead markets, I'm going to have more money at the end than if I started in reverse. So retiring in a bad market, and people are retiring right now, we can't rely on asset allocation. We have to rely on income planning. We have to set up our income so that we have it predictable, sustainable, coming in every month. We know where we're going to get it. We're not relying on some projection. The market, one of the myths that we talk about is that the market makes 10%. And it does closely average that, Peter, but it doesn't average that every day. It's not a number that's predictable. And I can take my assets and multiply them by 10% and say, look at all the money I'm going to have when I die. I'm going to leave some of my relatives rich. I need to spend more. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is taking your income minus what you are going to spend, what you need in retirement, and coming up with a difference in a solid plan. And we don't have to make a lot of assumptions doing that. What we're doing is taking the money that you have and reallocating it and showing you where we need to improve before you retire. And after you retire, we're showing what you need to do in order to maximize your money, taking a look at Social Security, taxes, looking at inflation, medical. I just did my taxes, and my medical costs this year, not talking about any deductibles or copays, but just on the Part B, the supplement, the Part D, and the Part D, the drug card, Part B for the government. For me and my wife, it was over $12,000 a year. So, the myth that Medicare is going to pay for everything and I don't need to worry about medical is wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of money.
That is an incredible amount of money. And I think that, as you've stated here, really the foundation, getting down to having that plan and removing as much luck of it as possible, is understanding our income and expenses and understanding the budget, not to limit what we can do, but give us permission to do things within a certain range and guidance that is sustainable into the future. And that's really what the premise of income planning and that financially focused income plan is designed to help savers and investors do.
Well, that's right. When we first started this, I've been doing this now for 31 years. And when we first started, we used to come up with these elaborate plans that took your assets and put them in different categories. And then historically, based upon what they return, we would show you that you could pull out a decent income. And at the end of the term, you were going to have $8, $10, $12 million left over. But I can tell you, over the 30 years that we've been doing this, I found out that doesn't work. Because what happens is people run out of money. And so the income plan helps us to keep us not from running out of money, but it helps us spend and budget. And that's what we have to do in retirement. We have to budget just like we're a business, but we also want to make sure that we're able to live and do things that we want to do. I mean, if we wanted to take a trip to Israel or a trip to Hawaii, we're going to plan that in the income plan, and we're going to show you up front where we're getting that money, how we're going to get it, and what's it going to do to the plan. If you want to give money away, we're going to show you that.
How it does not deplete the rest of the assets and the income base that we need to live sustainably and comfortably. Those big kind of expenses, John, do need to be worked into planning, and very often they are overlooked or omitted from the planning process, leaving those bucket list items, again, up to chance. Well, hopefully the market agrees, gives me some extra so that I can do those things I always wanted retirement to be about. That's not really the way to have confidence in the quality of life and the things that you want to do in retirement. So again, talking about kind of luck, but also mixing in some myths. John, you talked about the myth of the 10% market return and the market always going up, not being reliable. Another big one that I think a lot of people are relying on, we've been taught to do so, is that taxes are going to be lower in retirement. Many people finding that that is also not true. They've debunked and busted that myth.
Well, we have the highest per capita debt of any nation in the world. Our debt to capital per capita now is higher than it's ever been in the history of the United States. Taxes can't go down. There is no way that we can lower taxes and pay for all this. There's no way that we can continue to hit the rich. I read somewhere where New York is going to impose a 10% tax on anybody that makes over $400,000 a year. Well, they can only do that so long, and then, they have to hit the rest of us sooner or later. Tax rates have to go up. The big thing that a lot of people don't realize, Peter, is that in 2026, we're getting new taxes. Our tax bill sunsets, and we have to start with a new plan. They're not going to go down. They're going to go up. Now, while it would be nice to say that we're going to be in a lower tax bracket, and we've always said that, but, the thing is we found out that we're really not needing, we need just as much income now in retirement as we did when we were working. What about the myth that you're only going to need 70% of what you earn now in retirement? That's not true. Everything costs me just as much. The only thing I don't have is a dry cleaning bill, but with wash and wear, I don't have that anyway anymore.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I know that I'm either here earning money or out there spending it. And Saturdays and the weekends and vacations, that's where I find I spend the majority of my money. And in retirement, every day is sort of a Saturday on vacation, or we can easily treat it like that if we don't have a plan and a guideline and something to try to stick to. So, John, again, you go through a very specific proprietary process in planning. The financially focused written retirement income plan is the baseline for all other financial considerations and the outlook for retirement. You're able to drill down on that pretty precisely for your clients to remove many of the variables or minimize the potential for their impact so that we are less reliant on luck and more reliant on true planning for our financial future.
Well, that's right, Peter. One of the things we forget about is a married couple. If one of them passes away, we're going to lose a substantial amount of income. In some cases, it's half the pension, or in some cases, if you're lucky enough to have a pension, it could be all the pension. But we know it's going to be 40%. You're going to lose the Social Security of one of the people. And so what we try to do is we look at that. We look at all the things that we know are going to happen during your lifetime. And then what we do is we plan to put into place all the things you want to do. And then we're going to show you how it's going to work. We look at maximizing Social Security. We're going to tell you how you can get the most out of Social Security. And so when you go to the Social Security office, you tell them what you want. You don't ask them. We're going to look at taxes. We're going to try to maximize your taxes. We're going to look at your drawdown schedule. We're going to look at how you have your assets arranged. We're going to look at all the things that we can look at. Medical costs, Medicare. We're going to give you the information on Medicare, help you sign up and help you and show you what are the difference in the plans. All those things we do because we want you to have the best retirement you can have. We've talked about this over and over on the show, that retiring is not like giving out candy at Halloween. We don't want to hoard the candy in the beginning and then have too much left over. We don't want to do that with money either. I still believe that there are 3 phases. We talk about this too, 3 phases of retirement. The go-go years, that's when you first retire. You're going to go. You're going to spend money. The slow go is the next phase where you're going to still go, but you're just not going to go as often. And then we're going to get into that final stage where our health, we're still healthy and we're still here, but we can't go as much or go at all. We want to stay home. And that's human nature. I saw it in my dad. I'm seeing it somewhat in myself as I progress through this. And I think that's one of the things that gives us the most insight in retirement is, I've gone through Social Security. I've gone through Medicare. I've made the mistakes. I can help you not make the same ones that I made.
And I love the tagline on your website there at GulfCoastFinancial.net. John, 3 generations serving you now and for years to come. Your family, your future, our focus. That really is the mission there at Gulf Coast Financial Services. The 3 generations of planners under one roof. A plan in place to help sustain the planning that you do for the clients with their goals in mind as the top priority whenever constructing those plans and making any recommendations for their family, their financial future. That's your goal there at Gulf Coast Financial Services. Absolutely love that tagline. And of course, all of the educational resources that are available there on the website, GulfCoastFinancial.net. Lots of great information. You go to the webpage, you can download, I think, a very important piece on the changes of the Secure Act 2.0 right there on the homepage, John. And it is packed full of information that any proactive planner needs to know because there was a lot of change implemented under that omnibus spending package, which included the Secure Act 2.0, maybe some of the most sweeping changes to retirement account laws of the past generation.
Well, too, Peter, that's one of the things we do is as soon as the government reacts to something like this or passes something, we start doing education. We've already had 3 lunch and learns on this subject so we can tell our clients and prospects, people in the community, what there is to know about the legislation and what they need to do to make their retirement better, to make their plans better. And so that's, another thing that we try to do is stay up on all the legislation, all the changes, and make sure that we pass that on whenever we can. It's just something we feel very strongly about.
Well, you can find that and other resources, many other resources for your financial education and your path forward and your planning process at GulfCoastFinancialServices.net, GulfCoastFinancialServices.net. Or if you would like to construct your specific financial focused written retirement income plan with a qualified, experienced team of professionals, pick up the phone and give Gulf Coast Financial Services a call, 386-755-9018, 386-755-9018, 386-755-9018. John and his team make that process very easy, a complimentary service for listeners to the program, the podcast, viewers of the video, clients, referrals, friends of clients, always reviewing and updating plans as well. So get in touch if you would like to address the changes over the past year or the changes of the Secure Act and how that may have impacted any of the planning that you have done up to this point. John and his team there as your resource. No cost, no obligation for that service of constructing the written financial focused income plan. 386-755-9018. That's 386-755-9018. John, always a pleasure.
Thank you, Peter. It's better to plan than look for that pot of gold. I can tell you it's not there.
I have not found one yet. Don't intend to. Don't think that's in the cards for me. In the cards, yet another game of chance, right? So it's right. Everywhere, but we don't want it to be in our retirement.
No,
always a pleasure, John. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and tune in for more financial focus by visiting GulfCoastFinancial.net. The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only, without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for a particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature and not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals of growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs. Early withdrawals may subject the owner to penalties, fees, or taxes. John Kuykendall is registered with and securities are offered through Kovac Securities Inc., member FINRA SIPC, found online at www.kovacsecurities.com. Advisory services are offered through GulfCoast Financial Services Inc., a registered investment advisor in Florida. GulfCoast Financial Services Inc. is not affiliated with Kovac Securities Inc. or Kovac Advisors Inc. Past performance is not indicative of future results. All investing involves risk. Investment decisions should be based on your own goals, time horizon, and tolerance for risk. Due to various factors including changing market conditions and/or applicable laws, the content may no longer be reflective of current opinions or positions.